Radio.
First World Order Radio. Finally, we are on the air. No doubt. All right.
There's always going to be somebody in the building on First World Order Radio.
We get on into some of that order consciousness tonight.
First World Order Radio every Wednesday, 8 p.m.
We got to talk about what is taking place on the planet.
There's always going to be somebody in the building on First World Order Radio. First, we need to let you know we're going to be doing more shows, giving out more information on Wednesdays. Wednesday at 8 o'clock, we are now going to make this the hottest day of the week.
Preceding others in time, order, importance. The most prominent parts, voices, or instruments. Earthly state of human concerns in existence. An indefinite multitude, quantity, or distance. System regulates to bring about specifics in the root based on value and natural characteristics. Current radiates electromagnetistics of sound through the air, same as your thoughts transmits it. Preceding others in time, order, importance. The most prominent parts, voices, or instruments. Earthly state of human concerns in existence. An indefinite multitude, quantity, or distance. System regulates to bring about specifics in the root based on value and natural characteristics. Current radiates electromagnetistics of sound through the air, same as your thoughts transmits it.
You need to understand how magical this something like this every Wednesday can become. So you need to start getting your calendar right, get your schedule right. You need to know our intentions straight out.
All right, so, these clues are given throughout the various languages was to piece the puzzle of this ancient mystery school back together again.
And what we plan on doing, both of us, is bringing y'all some surefire dynamite. We're going to take this level up a notch. We're going to have stuff to do here. This is not just going to be about philosophies and theories, shit that works.
You have an activated pineal gland in which I produced this black chemical called melanin.
What we did was gave a hard line in the sand between the different definitions of esoteric study and exoteric study. Playtime is over.
I don't need to be a dope boy, my poetry is dope enough. Trapping interstellar while my third eye open up. See through all the lies that y'all telling with a straight face. Return of the luminous ones. Y'all better make way to find a chapter. Find a collapse on all you politicians. They politicking how to lead a world about the pissing. The way I think is more deep and in the Grand Canyon. I guarantee this black man would be the man standing. My premonition matched the Olmec calendar. It's always accurate like a lightweight challenger. For all you wicked witches and the Wizard of Oz, you and that man behind the curtain, yeah, y'all fixing to fall. Only a matter of time before shit hit the fan. Here's an idiot's guide for you on how to get a man. I don't need a bunch of homers to ride or die with me. I can call on Hey Roo to fly the skies with me. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back for ancient times to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned to the birth. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my uncle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back for ancient times to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned to his birth. When I'm riding on this city streets, never really miss a beat. To the point of no return, unless I turn another cheek. Catch me on my dating box, smooth as I wanna be. Just being me, never chilling with the wannabes. God in the flesh, dated bad sister Atlantis. Because my history is more than they can understand it. My melanated skin, starburst from the astro. I'm made of dark energy created from black holes. Know thyself, the only one you can lean on. I got some scoop bush that y'all can break y'all weed on. Our here's Martin Luther King and slave ships. But what about the underwater city Yo, don't look at me the same, I ain't nothing like I used to be. Upgraded daily through the lies and all the foolery. My dream became lucid, I travel back in time, collecting life data for my subconscious mind. That Father let me know that anything is possible by pulling down the universe through my crown chakra. Manipulate the energy is all an illusion. Knowing who you are kills all the confusion. Why 85% judge off my appearance? I use alchemy to create the word potential. My lyrics turn divas right back at the queens. Why dope boys are think twice appearing back on the scene. Everybody gone mad, blaming media outlet. The new black Hollywood chosen straight out the project. Homo and gender war sucking up to the master. While the whole community going up in disaster. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my ankle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back my ancient times to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned since birth. We going through the transition and that's all she wrote. Put on my ankle, gave my Jesus peace back to the Pope. Came back my ancient times to bring heaven on earth. I was the last golden child that returned since birth.
All around the production.
Really say this the gift and the message. My music is a weapon when I use it on the reckless. Spaceship hovering throughout the whole region. Open up the sky and take the shortcut to Venus. Getting on my liver, it's a hard pill to swallow. Like comparing your religion to it if the earth is hollow. No need to cry there and let it soak in your tomorrows. Let my music soak up all your bittersweet and sorrows. See the sun shining, I lay back and kick it. Staying sucker free is my new way of living. One day we get together, then we all start building. But the ball that I dribble got me posting like Pippin. Champagne glasses around my organite pyramid. Glazing at the stars, show the kids where we really live. These solar flares got my DNA 12 stranded. Collect the kill trends and feed it to the man spring. The Washington Moors, some of us we been here to reunite the others and cool the world with wind chills. I put rap to the back for a good reason. 2012-21 was a good season. Fake people get exposed just for who they are. Keep playing traffic in the highway with moving cars. My flow bring the fear of God to the modern rappers. They crawling backwards, kicking men and chest a heart attack. Ever since the kid went galactic, my center bracket reached the top and interacted with my solar status. The microphone I grab it, I guess it's just a habit. A living legend in your presence, sorta like the Mavericks. It ain't about me, nah, but it's about the future. I go to races on and dealing with the cockadoodles. I sock it to you like a grandma and your mama used to. The final stage I ride away just like it's Honolulu. I prove my old school, but since I stayed there, galactic conscious awareness, I got my grades there. See with the eye of Hebrew, no longer bending knees. My inner chiefs are in me when it's time to leave. This modern day crap, I don't even follow it. I'd rather symbolize my name up in the hieroglyphs. Declare peace without Battlestar Galactica. Footstepping backwards on my way back to Africa. The Washington Moors, some of us we been here to reunite the others and cool the world with wind chills. I put rap to the back for a good reason. 2012-21 was a good season. Fake people get exposed just for who they are. Keep playing traffic in the highway with moving cars. My flow bring the fear of God to the modern rappers. They crawling backwards, kicking men and chest a heart attack. The Washington Moors, some of us we been here to reunite the others and cool the world with wind chills. I put rap to the back for a good reason. 2012-21 was a good season. Fake people get exposed just for who they are. Keep playing traffic in the highway with moving cars. My flow bring the fear of God to the modern rappers. They crawling backwards, kicking men and chest a heart attack.
back once again with your host, Dr. Alim El-Bey. First Water Radio. We definitely here tonight, so we getting ready to bring on my co-host, Brother Fahim L. Are you here?
I tell you, Washington East.
Yeah, I tell you, Washington East. Peace. How you doing tonight?
Doing well, God. Well, how you doing?
All right. We had some technical difficulties. For some reason, we couldn't Facebook this information out, so we trying to figure out what was going on here.
Okay.
All right. We're going to get into some things here tonight. In particular, we're going to get into the all is mind and everything in the universe is mental, which happens to be the first of the 7 principles or universal principles of Tahuti. Tahuti is known as Thoth within the Greek, in which that the word thought originates from. And so Thoth or Tahuti, Jehuti, which is the ancient Tamarian name, was the moon nature, in which that we know that the moon has a magnetic effect upon the planet and upon the bodies of, humans and mankind, etc. Based on the fact that we're 75% water, and the moon influences the tides of the waters on the planet. Hence, internally, the planet, or our planetary body, or what is called our physical body, and the waters within it. All right, so let's get into the mental information here. Anything you want to say on that before I go in, Brother L?
You were saying about the bodies being 75% water. Yeah, that's correct. That's actually why our bodies are made up as well. They have about 75% with water, our body, really. So that's why that shows that we are in tune with the universe. With its universal makeup, with its creation. So, yeah.
No doubt. Well, these are just some things in which that we was taught in high school, in junior high, college. Of course, we know that the first law of thermodynamics tells us that matter or electromagnetic energy can neither be created nor destroyed. That's Newton's law, in which that deals with energy cannot be created nor destroyed. All right.
Right.
Us knowing that fact, we begin to start understanding a little bit more about the science of the mind. But we know that also neurologists tells us that the brain emits measurable electromagnetic waves that can be used to identify activity associated with the human mind. We even got psychologists in which that suspects that the electromagnetic field that is the mind can be actually identified as a human thought process, which may as well function independently of the brain. Carl Jung taught that the unconscious part of the mind can actually communicate with other unconscious minds during sleep or when in an alpha state, which alpha state is a trance-like state, down from the beta state, in which that most of us are currently in right now, or gamma state. You have gamma state, you have beta state, you have alpha state, theta, delta, theta state. So the various states in psychology speaks of the same thing. So the world of the mind, called by many the astral world, is actually a world of images and symbols, which everything is possible there, and nothing is surprising, really. The astral world is the world of dreams. So when we travel, what is called astral travel, really when we sleep. So the human mind, as we know, is made of electromagnetic energy. And since energy cannot be destroyed, then it follows that the human mind cannot be destroyed either. You know, so if the mind functions independently of the body, as scientists suspect, then when the body dies, the mind will continue to exist independently of the body.
Yes.
You know, the mind and the awareness of the personality will then exist in what is called the astral plane. And for those who don't know what the astral plane is, or astral world, the word astral means star. You know, and as we know, as the world of our dreams, this is the world of symbols and images that is, I guess you can say, accumulated through our experiences and the experiences of our ancestors. You know, and when we look at that, we really have to think in terms of, you know, that the language, the religion, and even the philosophies that we have are actually mere thought forms, you know what I'm saying, of men and women. You know, so when we attempt to even relay messages from our higher selves, sometimes it get mixed in with our personal, earthly, lower self experiences. You know, and the Holy Quran, Circle 7, speaks to that. You know, it doesn't make the experience invalid, but the fact is that it's not our personal experience. Oftentimes, when we hear others speak of their experiences, or when they write down their experiences and we read them, you know, from a book or whatever the case is, you know what I'm saying? And because of that, being that it's not our own personal experience, as we see with various religions, in particular the major world religions, you know, they become degraded. You know, and so really religions are nothing more than degraded spiritual systems. And this, you know, sometimes this can make a problem, because now we have people attempting to force other people into their belief system, saying that their belief is the only right and exact way. You know what I'm saying? And that they're the only ones that knows God. And of course, this is insanity. But moreover, all thoughts are energy. You know, so we know that our physical body, our DNA, RNA, and etc., you know, is energy, but this energy is actually thought form energy. We are a thought projection of our mothers and fathers. You know what I'm saying? A concentration of memories, you know, which is, you know, energy from 7 generations on each side of the family, as we spoke about often. So the first law of Jehudi, universal law, is mentalism, which states that the all is mind and everything in the universe is mental, or that the all is mind and everything in the universe is energy. You know, so if nature has seen fit to preserve millions of species for millions of years, it is logical for us to assume that we should also seek to preserve the human mind and its great creative potential. You know, in other words, when we speak about the etheric plane or the etheric plane, or the astral plane, we're talking about aspects of the atmosphere, as we spoke about a few weeks ago. We're talking about, in particular, the ionosphere. Where you get the Ankh book written by Nur Ankh Amen, he speaks about that heaven is the ionosphere, and the ionosphere is a mirror, is an exact duplicate of everything that's here on earth is there. So when people say, well, what do dogs go to heaven, or birds? Everything goes an exact replica. You know, so this is supported by the facts that nature preserves that which is strong and valuable. And the most valuable thing that has ever evolved on this planet through the science of breath is the human mind. Consciousness. You know, so according to all of this, after we die, the physical body decomposes into the basic elements, which are then recycled by nature to create other life forms, and that's where they say that a cat can become a dog, or dog can. In other words, that's the state of evolution of what is being spoken of. But that does not happen from species to species, however. physically. In other words, a cat cannot become a dog cannot become a horse cannot become a camel, and all these different things in that regard. But the elements are recycled by nature to create other life forms. The mind, which is pure electromagnetic energy, once disembodied, has no physical substance. Still has some type of tangible weight to it, because based on the breath, based on the mind, and electrons from the body, there's about 70 grams of weight, in which that is different from a person who is dead and to a person who is living. All right, so that 70 grams account for aspects of the mind, which is your memories, your experience that you gathered here, as well as also the electrons from the body, as well as also the breath, the vapor aspect. Those three symbolizes what we call the Ba, the Ka, and Aku, which is the Egyptian or Kemetic or Temerian terminology for the Ba is the soul, Ka is the spirit, and the Aku is the glorified light body. Okay?
Yes, that's if we talk about the energy that never dies, that relates also to the meaning of the Halloween movie, Michael Myers. The reason why they had a hard time killing them off, because you cannot kill energy,
there you go.
Whether it's evil or, demonic or whether it's good, whatever, This is why they have a hard time killing them off.
Right.
That is the allegorical and the symbolic meaning. The more deep aspects of the movie Halloween.
Right.
So, thing with like the energy that you spoke of, like being Ka, which is the last word of the word Africa and America.
Right.
So I had studied that also. I looked into your book, read your book, the First World Order, and how people are always dealing with, especially nationalized Moors dealing with Asiatic and Moor, but not always exclude the word Africa, which they should never do, because we are still descendants of Africa. Call yourself African Moors, or Moors in the Americas, or whatever. But we are still descendants of Africa. Also, Af and Rook, Africa, find out what each of those syllables mean. Then you'd be pretty proud of, being a descendant of Africa. It's not by Leo or Scipio Africanus. No, it is not.
Right.
It's just the word itself. If you break down the science of the word itself, it's very deep. Some of us are talking about, we didn't come from anywhere. We were always here. Well, if you look at the break off, when the two continents have split, if you look at it that way, yeah, you can say we always been here, but still we migrated from Africa toward over here. Although they said it wasn't up but a little lake distance from here to Africa at the time.
Right. And when that occurred, we talking about, over 1 billion years ago. So
right.
It was still over 1 billion years before the Albion or European got here upon this planet in order to try to dictate our origin.
Well, they can't. Because every time they dig, their anthropologists, and they try to dig and research, they find out, here come another skeletal remains. That was what? 2 billion years ago. Damn, they can't really find it. They could really know our really know when, to find out the beginning of the Asiatic race, African race. They can't trace our history.
Right. No, they can't trace the history.
No.
Well, this is actually the reason why we continue trying to break down the origin of man, which is also woman, and how all of this occurred. Like we were talking about, the word astro is derived from the Greek word astron, which means basically of the stars. And the word was originated, used to refer to the abode of the, so-called Greek gods. But its meaning later grew to include other entities and other planes. So the ancient believed that in the astral world, was a, I guess you can say, a etheric or ethereal place where these ethereal beings and angels belonging to a higher hierarchy, belonged, what I'm saying? And then eventually the term astral world or astral plane became identified with the occult sciences, and currently it is considered a mysterious zone that is said to exist basically beyond our normal senses or our material perception, but there's a good book. It's called The Astral World, which is written by Swami Panchandisi, in which that in the book he speaks about the astral plane, and so he speaks about like the ancient teaching tells us that there's 7 planes of existence. The first plane and the dense of the 7 is the material plane, which is identified with our physical world. So he gets into that. The second is the fourth plane, which is also known as the etheric plane. This is followed by the third plane or astral plane, which is also the emotional plane, and then out of the fourth, which is the mental plane. And then the 3 following planes, of basically it's said of such a high degree of spiritual evolution that very little is known about them. But that goes back to what we said the other week. What we do know about them in the Rosicrucian teachings, they named them, in which that we have the causal plane, the spiritual plane, and the soul plane. So, not just that, we can actually explain, what goes on each plane. And plus, each of the 7 planes is divided into 7 subplanes. So really, it's like 49 planes, or each of in which is turned into 7 subdivisions, which continues to be likewise divided until they have reached the 7th degree of subdivision. So what he tells us is that these planes are not superimposed upon each other as they would be if they were a part of the Earth atmosphere, but rather they are all manifest in the same point or the same origin of time or the same point of space. All right? We know that within the 5% teachings of Nation, Gods, and Earth, asks about the expansion of or the size of the universe. It's 76 quintillion miles in diameter. All right? We know that according to science, the origin of that came from a Big Bang, in which that is allegedly of an atom. So we understand that that would be the source of everything, in which that we can see, touch, taste, and smell as beyond into the subconscious, unconscious planes, which we would refer to as subconscious, superconscious, magnetic conscious, and infinite consciousness. So we understand that those areas go even further. And, we're looking at the various planes. We know that if planes are conceived as energy manifestations of increasing vibratory rate, that is also possible to conceive that they may all be located on the same point in space, but at different density. So even one more subtler than the other. And the best way to understand the concept is actually to bring to remembrance of like heat, electricity, magnetism, laser beams, X-rays, ultraviolet light can all exist in the same place without interfering with each other, because they all consist of energy moving in different vibratory rates. All right, so that's the way we're trying to explain it. So in the same way, the different planes can coexist at the same point of physical space without impinging upon each other. Now, some of the ancient masters try to explain the idea by saying that the planes is not a place but a state of being. All right, that's what they're trying to explain. Now, all of this is once again part of the mental aspect. And the higher aspect of the mental plane is the causal plane, which is the higher mental, in which that transfers later as the vibratory rate changes higher or increases to the spiritual, in which that even higher it becomes the soul. All right, so the second plane is known as the plane of force, or the force plane, or etheric plane, which we find that the creative energy which the universe came into being. You know, that is part of the prana energy, in which that those who work with Qigong, or who are yogis, or Tai Chi, you got the prana or Qi or Ki energy, as it is called Ka, or Ra, as it is also called within the ancient Kemetic teachings. So in recent years, physicists, especially those who's been studying quantum mechanics, have been studying the energies of the etheric plane without realizing it. You know, this is really what they're saying. This is why now they call it quantum physics, because there's a rendition of metaphysics, but yet metaphysics is supposed to be, quote-unquote, the pseudoscience. But yet we already knew all of this information prior to them having to study it and quantify it.
Right.
You know, so that's the craziness about it. So they've been studying the energy of the etheric plane without even realizing it. It's in this plane that we find the subatomic particles, such as the quarks, the muons, the neutrons, which some physicists believe may be the building block of matter, which it is essentially. And so the etheric substance known as prana, as we're talking about, is one of the forces created in this plane. Mm-hmm. And actually, I don't even want to say the word created, because it is what it is, in which that we absorb with each breath. All right? It's this prana that keeps us alive. And our true substance of our source of substance, I guess you could say, according to the yogis, they say that the prana is best assimilated into the organism through a pattern of rhythmic breathing known as pranayama. And this is what we're talking about. And we're just trying to break it down so that, everybody can understand what's really going on here. So when you practice the Qigong, you actually absorb etheric energy, transform yourself into an Etherian, in which that we once were. So actually, we're getting back to where we once were. This is the activation of the junk DNA, and how now there's children being born with 3 and more strands of DNA, in which that there's various groups, such as the New Agers, who speaks of 12 strands of DNA, and then 12 etheric strands of DNA, making 24 strands altogether, which is symbolic to like the 24 elders mentioned in the book of Revelation. Mm-hmm. Now, the third plane, which we know is basically is known as the astral plane or the astral world, which is actually the emotional body. It's the state of being that you can reach by, by the human spirit. Essentially, after we pass, is also where we sojourn every night during our dreams. So the astral plane is accessible to living beings also. Either by using the psychic senses or by traveling to these inner regions with the astral body. So the astral sense is actually directly connected with the physical senses. Right? This is where we get the 5 higher aspects of, like for sight, you have clairvoyance; for hearing, clairaudience; for touch, it's like chemistry; for taste, clairgustance; for smell, clairsentience. All right, so that's what we do understand. So these astral senses are directly connected with the physical senses, and it is basically through these that the human receive input from the astral plane or the astral world. In other words, each of our 5 senses, as we said, it actually has a counterpart in the astral world, and that's what we're talking about. So there's other senses in the astral plane that we know, which is known, here on Earth as ESP or HSP, which is extrasensory perception or higher sensory perception. Among them, of course, we know is also telepathy, psychokinesis, levitation, et cetera. Of course, psychokinesis is the same as telekinesis, being able to move objects with your mind. Right. So these senses are dormant in most humans. But they're slowly awakening. But most of it is dormant. Number one, they don't believe it, and that is the downfall. But yet, understanding that we have 7 chakras or 7 seats of light, and the main light aspect is that called Kundalini, in which that raises up through the rest in order to give us siddhas or siddhis, which is particular gifts, or these particular gifts that we just made mention of, like being a clairvoyant. You know what I'm saying? And even then, sometimes they are able to have astral visions, but these are usually spontaneous and not controlled. So true astral vision is acquired only through special studies, you know what I'm saying, and exercises and practice. And a lot of people don't want to practice. You know what I'm saying? So people who have developed these faculties can actually use it to transcend from one plane to another through the force of will. Now, if you get that book, The Astral World, by Panchar Dasi, he speaks of the method of being able to move through the various planes using the astral body. And basically he says this body is formed as an etheric substance that has a very high vibratory rate. Now, of course, we can refer to it now if you get the book, The Flower of Life, written by Javala Melchizedek. He speaks of it as the Macabre. Now, of course, that is the same Hebrew term in which that is used in the Bible, which actually is not Hebrew, it's derived from ancient Kemetic, Temerian, Metru Neter. But in Hebrew, they use it also, in which that it says Metru Neter, that the Macabre is the flaming chariot. And allegedly, this is the flaming chariot or allegory in which that Elijah was taken up on. All right, some refer to it as a UFO, but really, this UFO is actually an IFO, because your body is able to transform itself into a vehicle of light, and you're able to bridge the gap between these various dimensions, or cosmic zones, realms, density levels, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so I know some of this stuff may be over the head, but do your research, do your study, for the people out there. All right, so we understand that the astral plane. Go ahead, Brother Al.
Yes, if anyone saw the old movie now, if you saw the old movie Carrie, and movies like that, it shows you that when it first came out, a lot of people thought it was just a lot of hoopla, but it's not. She had ESP, she had telekinesis,
right?
And she was showing actually everyone can have it. Everyone's got it. Like they showed in the movie Lucy, you just only use about 10% of your brain. 10% of the 100% of your brain. You never. Most of the vast majority of them will go to our graves, and never will use anything above the 10% of our brains.
Right.
So this is what's going on. A lot of people, like you say, a lot of people don't believe it. And if you don't believe it, so therefore, no, you're not going to try to utilize these other 90% of the brain. You're not going to try to utilize it or try to use any of it. But that's the way we were supposed to be at, really.
Right.
Not as destructive as Lucy was, no. But we were supposed to do more productive things with it. I mean, the movie was a little bit, what you can say, a little bit missing. I could say what the word wasn't that accurate when it comes to these kind of skills that you're supposed to have.
Mm-hmm.
They made other movies like Carrie, people that have telekinesis and things of the sort, So,
right.
But this is where we're supposed to be at. But they had our people. They had dumbed the people down so much, and this is big part of the reason why most of us can't use the other 90% of our brain.
Right. At any given time, exactly.
Right.
Because that's the thing. So I have to say, well, we use more than 10% of our brain, yeah, but not more than just at one given time. You don't. In other words, you don't use the whole brain at one time. Stop lying and stop telling people that nonsense. And so we know that normally the astral body surrounds the physical body like a translucent sheath. And that it may be actually perceived as a bluish type of halo that extends like about 2 inches or so above the body. That is also part of the lower astral body, which is the etheric body. The ether body is also part of the astral body, as we talked about earlier. And of course, we know that the astral body, the high astral body, actually changes colors, or can change colors depending on the health of a person, the mental or moral state of a person. You know what I'm saying? And so this halo is commonly known as a person's aura. And it's not difficult to see. An easy way of perceiving the aura is basically by holding the arm horizontal against like a light or white background, and then looking just above the skin while letting the eyes just go slightly out of focus. Within a minute or so, actually within a matter of seconds, a minute, it is possible to see the aura as a faint, color. Mostly bluish gray band, that you would see. So what we know is that the astral body is the exact copy of the physical body and survives after the physical body dies. However, the astral body is not immortal and eventually disintegrates and returns to its component parts, as does the physical body. They say that it returns to the realm of form, which means that is energy, once again, chi or key energy, in which that can be utilized by others in order to extend their life force. That's part of that recycling process that we spoke about a little bit earlier. I'm just trying to explain these things so that people can have a greater idea of what really takes place with the power of the mind, because this is all mental apparatus. All right, this is all mental. Mm-hmm. All right, so people. Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah, like things like the Matrix. I tell people all the time that things are not what they seem to be. You see it, but you don't really know it. You don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the movie The Matrix. One Neo was telling. The long fiction actor was telling Neo in the movie that you see it every day. You see it when you go to work, clock in every day. When you go to when you file your taxes and so on and so on and so on. But they don't realize that they are slaves, and that's part of it. Now, not used to more than 10% of your brain, because they get you so dumbed down that you really believe, but most people really believe that they are free, and they're not. They even get your the 90% of your brain locked down because you believe everything that what's been told to you.
Right.
Just like most of our people believe that they're black and they're African Americans or they're people of color. And you come to them, look at the word Boer or Asiatic or Aboriginal or Indigenous, they look at you real like you just went out to lunch because they still haven't even heard these words. These words are still foreign to most of our people. But this is why we have the blog talk show tonight. That's why I write news articles to get the word out, the information out to our people as much as we can. I think this is pretty bad for 2015, and it's still like that today. And the way that, like I said, the 90% of the brain is still being locked down because of we refuse to change our literature. What's going on? People think that, that's silly. That's impossible. You can't do nothing like that because we've been taught that way.
Right.
They've been taught to think that way.
Right.
It's part of the educational system, or so-called educational system. To give, for instance, when do you see a lot of these misleaders, the aldermen and state representatives of each city and town of the country, but they never talk about nationality or birthright issues. Never.
Right.
They always talk about they for the community. Go ahead, Dr. Alim.
No, I mean, that's absolutely correct. They don't because some has been bought and paid for, such as we know about Jesse Jackson, such as also Al Sharpton. We understand that they've been bought. And they're not for the people. They're there to get money in their pocket, for themselves and for their families. How is it possible that neither one ever held the church position as a minister or reverend or pastor, hold the title as reverend and pastor, but yet don't have churches, but yet are multi-millionaires?
That's something.
So we can say that's the power of the mind. Well, it's also the power of something else.
Right.
Okay. So. But now I want to talk about them right now. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, a lot of these so-called black politicians, you see a lot of them stay in trouble with the police. And
we see that. That's what happened with Jesse Jackson's son, who was who was part of Congress.
He's part of Congress, but they're constantly in trouble with the police.
Right.
And protest marches. And, like the sister up here, her last name is Nasheed, but she has a free national name, but you never hear her talk about nationality or birthright issues. Even in the St. Louis, Missouri Republic, a lot of these aldermen are certain wards, which are slave regions. They never talk about that. Your aldermen of Ward 16. Well, what does ward mean? They never go there. They never break that down. A lot of them are just, like you said, a lot of them are paid off. And they make it believe that a lot of people, that these that they're really fighting for the people. They stand in trouble. I think Sister Nasheed was caught with a weapon on her possession. You know, made to look real bad, but she still don't talk about nationality or birthright issues.
Mm-hmm.
Never. And the thing is, the energy goal we were talking about earlier. You can deal with certain things dealing with vampire or vampirism. You know, dealing with the day and night, and all it's about is dealing with the forces of light, dealing with the forces of darkness. You know, but a lot of people deal with that as just a movie, but it's dealing with energy as well.
Right.
The energy of darkness is the energy of light. That's why they cannot stand light. The reason why they can't stand it, it'll kill them off.
Right.
That's all I have to say about that subject, Dr. Ali. Go on.
Well, I mean that's the key too. Is that that's what we have to realize is that we're talking about light, in particular astral light, you know, and when we talk about the astral body, you know, we find out that that when a person dies, that the spirit, along with the astral body, goes to one of the subplanes of the astral world, where it rests in peaceful or regenerative sleep. Now, during that sleep, the spirit is prepared for the place that corresponds to the level of spiritual development. Okay? So when the spirit awakens, it immediately passes to the mental plane, where it then proceeds on to levels correlating or corresponding to its development. So the astral body basically remains in the astral world for a short time after the spirit leaves it. And then what we find out is that eventually the astral body loses strength and disintegrates, actually just like the physical body, decomposes. And when this happens, it immediately passes to what is called the astral cemetery. And so the more spiritually advanced a person is, the faster his or her astral body will disintegrate, as it is basically composed mostly of a person's instincts and emotions. Because remember, it's the emotional body. So the more attached a person is to the physical world, the longer his or her astral body will remain in the lower planes of the astral world. All right? And that's particularly on the first and second overtone level of the astral plane. And this is oftentimes these disincarnated energy is what is being tapped into. I give a good example. When I'm talking about the Astral World book by Panach, what's his name? Panchasi. He states, particularly that the astral bodies and not the spirit of the person or people who have died, who communicates through seance or channeling sessions, they tap into the astral body of the individual and not the spirit of the individual or the soul. Right. So these are also the ghosts who haunt and follow the living, unable to find a resting place. These are earthbound individuals. This is particularly true of people who die violently, just like in the movie Ghosts with Patrick Swayze and Whoopi Goldberg. All right, he got shot, died violently, and his whole thing was trying to be in contact with what's her name? I can't remember her name right now.
Demi Moore.
Yeah, Demi Moore, right, with his wife, exactly, or his girl at that time, and so after he died, everybody, Whoopi Goldberg was through a seance was able to channel him. Right, but that was once again the astral body. That was not the spirit of the person. All right, so after we die, the spirit normally regenerates itself in the astral world, You know what I'm saying? And then passes directly to the mental plane. But the astral body can retain certain memories and aspects of that personality that makes it possible for it to establish a communication, all right, with the living. And this is what people actually tap into when they set up their altars and shrines, is the astral part of the individual. And normally this is real good during the 3 days right after passing of the individual, that the individual can come back and communicate real well with their, with their relatives. And so people at seances want to be actually convinced that the entity whom they are communicating with is the spirit of someone that they once knew or loved. But when you do some observation, you begin to realize that the entity that they're contacting is might not necessarily be, might just be a familiar. All right, someone who's acting as such. You know what I'm saying? And they're tapping into, and this particular entity is tapping into the memories of that particular shell of the person, of the astral body, or disincarnated entity, of that particular astral body. Because anybody knows that there's something that appears to be missing in a disembodied entity, and what is missing is the spark of the spirit of the mind that is already going on to a higher plane, leaving behind an empty shell, which is the remnants of what we refer to of spirit or soul. Right? So that after death, most spirits sleep for a long time, some for many years in the sub plane of the astral world. People who are highly evolved, like I said, spiritually, evolved spiritually, and people at the bottom of the spiritual ladder both awake after a short period. Right? The spiritually elevated, because they do not need much time to prepare for the corresponding level of the mental world. And the spiritually unevolved, because they automatically, I guess you can say, gravitate to the areas of lower vibration. So once in these particular cosmic zones, they continue to relive the same terrible, destructive actions that basically characterize their material lives, but only as a helpless spectator. This is the aspect of what we was talking about before about hell. That hell and heaven are states of mind. You know what I'm saying? So eventually many of these spirits become horrified at the vision of their past lives and repent of their action and try to basically, this is where the Christian value come in at, and try to leave these sub-planes and ascend to a higher level of being. So this is what is meant within the Hadith or Quranic, Holy Quranic information, where people read about hell isn't forever eternal in that way. It could be based on the mental perception, because most people never learn from their errors or their ways. So they continue, like it's said, to repeat it over and over again. So it could seem as if it's eternal or forever, because they just never learn. They never understand that they need to feel sorrowful about the things in which they've done, the guilt that they've harbored, the problems that they have caused, the solutions they never found answers for, etc., etc. And so there are those, however, who have descended so low on a spiritual scale that they are actually unable and unwilling to reject their past actions. And without this repentance and the desire to ascend to a region of greater light, the spirit runs the risk of actually eventually disintegrating. Okay.
So what you're saying is that...
And this is what is called the second death that is mentioned in the Bible.
Okay.
So these subplanes of this lower astral world has been equated with hell and purgatory. And once again, heaven and hell is nothing but mind state. This is what we're dealing with. The whole is mind, and everything in the universe is mental. And we trying to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, based on our last episode, so that people can begin to, get some clarity on some of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So unlike its terrifying sublevels, the astral world has higher regions, as we broke down the other week, with spirits who were creative in the physical world, such as writers, painters, poets, composers, can bring to fruition great works that was left unfinished on the material plane. Others create wonderful works in the astral plane that are basically later perceived as inspirations by human beings who carry them on through to completion in the physical world. And this is where, once again, the reason why you set up shrines and altars is to be able to receive that type of communication. So the astral world is the womb of the physical plane, and everything that takes place in the material world is but an echo of something that has already happened in the astral world, which is also the world of imagination. This is why it's possible to create and visualize things in our mind that later all basically that can materialize in the physical world. So in the mental plane, we find the higher regions that many religions call heavens. And this is the subplane that is found, where the exalted spirits of highly evolved human beings, such as saints and martyrs and ascended masters and all this, and this is where, those who sacrifice their lives for others on the pursuit of the sublime idea, angels who, essence is pure love, belonging to the higher regions of the astral plane, but travel continuously amongst the higher planes. There's also about reincarnation that tells us that the highly evolved spirits take a much longer time to reincarnate. So when such a being elects to be reborn soon after his last existence, it is making actually a supreme sacrifice, usually for an important reason, which is born anew, and is derived of the great joy, ecstasy, that are the continuous life of the spirit on a higher plane. In other words, some of us actually chose to come back here in order to reveal revelations, certain things and keys, in which that can be good for humanity. So basically almost all spirits, from the most of the least evolved, spend some time in the subplanes of the astral world, where their endeavor is to perfect themselves and acquire a higher, elevation, I guess you can say. So because the spirit can reincarnate, it must leave the astral plane and pass to the proper subplanes in the in the mental plane or in the mental world. And the least evolved spirit spend, like I said, little time here and reincarnate quickly. Matter of fact, within 2 to 5 years. With time.
Well, what do you say about children that dies at an early age without getting living long enough to attain that certain spiritual or the mental plane or the astral plane?
Right. Well, they can come back. They can come back and reincarnate quickly, also. However, if the mother and father is really emotional or in an emotional state, what can happen is that child can actually become attached to the auric field, in particular of the mother, and that's something in which that they don't want to happen. They want to be able to channel that spirit back through the proper channels, which is back through sexual intimacy, in order to bring that spirit back into physical incarnation. You know what I'm saying? So basically, a highly evolved spirit can spend centuries in the region of the mental world or in some higher planes. So during the stay in these higher dimensions, the spirit enters into basically a different identification with his higher self, on which that it receives purity and light, thus enjoying the divine ecstasy yogis speak about, which is nirvana or bliss. You know what I'm saying? But if the spirit is so far evolved that it no longer needs to reincarnate, it stays in the superior planes, where it may actually help those spirits who still bound to the incarnation cycle.
So that they will reincarnate faster, the ones on a higher spiritual plane.
No, if they're in a higher spiritual plane, they don't have to reincarnate.
Okay.
But they will help those who have not reached a higher plane to be able to not have to reincarnate any longer. In other words, they will begin to start bestowing some of this information upon them on how they achieve this state of existence. What we now know is that the breath is how we achieve these highest levels. That's what we do know. All right, the breath is what propels the mind and these electrons of the physical body at the point of death in order to correlate to the plane of existence, that you worked on here. All right, so we spoke about many times before about the science of breath and how it gives you different states of consciousness. Interpersonal consciousness, intrapersonal consciousness, life consciousness, subconsciousness, superconsciousness, magnetic consciousness, infinite consciousness. All of that is controlled by lessening the breath, lessening your breath from 18 breaths to 9 breaths to 7.5 to 6 to 4.5 to 3 to 1 breath a minute. So if you was able to master over a period of time of the science of the 1 breath a minute, which is infinite consciousness, then guess what? You just broke the threshold of incarnation. There's no need for you to reincarnate because your mental apparatus will correlate to the superior plane or superior planes on which we just made mention of, which is infinite consciousness, which would be actually the soul plane.
Mm. So, what you're saying is what you haven't learned in this life, you will learn in the other. What you will learn in the reincarnation stage.
Right.
Okay. Because you were saying earlier that the ones that have been so low in their, what you say, without even having any kind of spiritual reality about themselves, or just dealing with murder, rape, any kind of low-life activities, and
right.
when they pass into transition, and they still have learning things from that, or any regrets or anything like that. So their spirit will eventually die out.
Right. If they don't repent. This is what I was talking about the science of repenting, and if you don't feel sorrowful in a sense. In other words, if your soul don't cry out for the misdeeds and the misappropriate, or inappropriate actions or behavior in which that you took here upon planet Earth, the things in which that you did, and admit that you did, then it has a hard time, and if you take too long to understand that or come to some type of solution for yourself, then you could disintegrate. In other words, you could face or experience what is called the second death, which the scripture speaks about. In particular, the Bible speaks about the second death.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So, but if you repent, then maybe they'll have a chance of coming back to this life form to be to do that all over again.
Right.
And what other people say could make that up.
Right.
Sort of way.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, that brings you more to a higher spiritual plane than the last life you had, or physical life that you had on this earth.
Right, right. And it's spoken of in the book of Revelation. I think it's the 20th chapter, the 14th verse. Then it's explained. The second death is even explained in more detail in Revelation, the 21st chapter, the 8th verse. So the scriptures try to explain it. I mean, of course, it don't go into details like the way we just did, but it has some type of merit or truth or value to the information, that we need to pay attention to.
Okay. So, like I said, but even if that deals with, like, say, for instance, an enemy of yours, you still will have to repent, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? And, of course, we're not talking about just from a Christian concept here. All right? We talking about your intentions. We talking about being able to repent. In other words, having the attitude that you don't want to harm anyone in that regard. You know what I'm saying? Who have not harmed you. In other words, doing to others as others have them to do unto you.
Okay.
So that's what we mean. Right, so that's more so what we mean by that. Not just, repent like, place all your sins upon Jesus and, oh, Lord, you can be saved tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? No, we ain't talking about like that. So I just got to make sure that everybody understand that. So when we talking about the inhabitants of the astral world, they can descend, to the lowest planes, but are unable to ascend to the higher ones. And and who are these inhabitants? Well, many of them was referred to as shadow beings, extraterrestrials, reptilians, grays, all these things, fairies.
Shadow beings.
Right. All these things exist. You know what I'm saying? But they exist, you know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, if we go to the Holy Quran, Circle 7, there's something which I definitely will read here. This is chapter 3, the Lahu Lessons, the Unity of Life. It speaks about the lower self, the cardinal self, the body of desires as a reflection of the higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. And what's the flesh? The flesh is the murky ethers. All right, so when you come further down, that was verse 7. Come down to verse 20. It says, this evil is a myth. These gods are made of air. So the breath, your breath in conjunction with the mind, can create these thought forms into existence, which is these ETs, these fairies, etc., and project it into what appears to be reality for you. This is the power of the mind. All right, but it says this evil is a myth. These gods are made of air, clothed with shadows of a thought. And what is that? That's shadow people or shadow beings.
Okay.
All right. Even in the Bible, it tells you also that we battle against principalities. You know what I'm saying? I think it's in the book of Ephesians 6:12. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
when
we look at, go ahead.
Well, they're talking about the world rulers, the wickedness in high places. The
right.
higher you go.
Right, and those people, right, the so-called elite, and them being actually controlled by these astral beings. All right? Like, for example, I broke down this week on Facebook about the concept of the Archeon. And like the concept of principalities is understood by the Greek word archi, meaning chief or ruler. So I asked the question, well, who are the archons? Well, in the Vedic, they're called the Asuras. And the Buddhists, they this practice is called the Tulpa. So the archons are not per se true spirits. They are actually mind beings or mental entities, and many of who were made by humans as thought forms. Many of these functions as attachments. Even in Scientology, they're called implants or as mental parasites. And I gave the illustration that this pale-skinned Jesus, you know what I'm saying, that was created by the Catholic Church under Pope Alexander, or Pope Alexander VI, utilizing, I think Leonardo da Vinci, utilizing his son, Caesar Borgia. That pale-skinned Jesus is a thought form or an image taken, in which that even you go to the book of Revelations, 13th chapter, speaks of the image of the beast. All right, and so these archons can take on the forms called familiars. In other words, they can pretend to be your relatives or ancestors that's passed on. All right,
but
and being
not.
that they're right, but they're not. But these mental apparitions can actually cease to exist if people just simply stop believing in them. This is why we come to crush this pale-skinned Jesus concept, because it's a thought form. So when we say that it didn't exist, that's exactly what we're saying. Jesus didn't exist.
Right.
In particular, we talk about this pale-skinned Jesus as a thought form.
Right. But you saying that
right, in which that is holding us down right now in a position, being that more than almost nearly 1.5 billion people believe in it.
Yeah, ain't that something? That's some hell of a mind control, isn't it?
Right, that's some serious mind control. But yet, even in Book of Revelations again, is the first chapter, 13, 14, 15 verse. It tells you about him having hair like lamb's wool, feet as if it was burnt in a furnace, and voice of many waters, meaning he had a deep voice.
Sure, you're right.
You know, so and eyes of flames of fire. You know what I mean? So, this is what's going on. You know,
dealing with the our ancestors. Excuse me. Dealing with the ancestors. They said that you see your ancestors. Speaking of come as your look like your ancestors, but they're not actually your ancestors.
right.
They have that even some of these movies.
Right.
That they know the science. Hollywood
Right.
definitely know the science.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, they know
the astral plane and spiritual world.
Right.
The mental plane.
Right.
And they utilize it in a lot of our movies.
Oh yeah.
I'm feeling it's more open to me now since you explained it to me tonight. And dealing with movies like The Exorcist.
Right.
They can sound or talk like your ancestors, or look like what your ancestors looked like when you last saw them.
Right. Right. Poltergeists, shadow beings, reptilians, ETs, other ETs as greys, and et cetera, insectoids, even the Arturians, which is the pale Nordic skin beings. All this is some mental shit.
Okay.
That's essentially what we was breaking down the other week when we was dropping about these reptilians. And so, remember, we're talking about a mental being in which that can become attached. Attached to what? Attached to your auric field. So now, you know, this reptilian or this astral being or entity becomes attached, which is part of the archeon energy, which is mental power energy, can now maneuver and control the individual based on the lust, greed, jealousy, envy, and hatred of the lower self, which is referred to as the devil. So when you look in the person's eyes, being at the eyes, right, being at the eyes or the windows to the soul, you look in their eyes, and their eyes change from brown with a black iris to icy blue with a slit running down the center. You know damn well that they have some type of possession in which that is going on. And I don't say demonic because the word demonic, like we said before, comes the word atum ray, in which that is talking about the setting of the sun. All right? The word team on is the word demon. All right? But team on is actually atum ray, or atum ra, in which that symbolizes the setting sun. So we don't say the word demon in that regard, but we do refer to them as these lower astral entities in which they can become attached to the first and second root chakra of an individual, and thus become overshadowed by this archeon or this type of mental this mental energy. Okay.
But the mental entity put a lot of into this pale-faced Jesus image,
right?
You know, which is he didn't even exist, period. Whether you want to argue the fact that he was so-called black or so-called white, it's fruitless to argue that because the man didn't exist, no way.
Right.
But the Christ, that's actually something that you have to attain a certain level of spiritual consciousness to attain the Christ consciousness within you.
Right. Right, exactly. Well, that's because once we realize it's within us, then that's when we gain all power. That's when we begin to start gaining power.
People think it's a name, but it's a title. There's a level that you have to obtain in all of your spiritual worlds, especially the spiritual world or spiritual, you can say, plane. And higher up that spiritual plane, you can go, with that.
Right. Well, only the reason for the words because man's words are spirit in man. Spoken word of sounds, that occurs by the vibrations of thought, and thought of vibration sent forth by the ego or by the soul. So every word you utter should be potent, with soul vibration. So a man's words are lifeless if he fails to impregnate them with spiritual force. And that's what we have to get back to the knowledge of, how to redefine ourselves.
Right. We redefine ourselves all over again.
Right.
That means we have to change our literature, and so we can change out the way we think. Not to try to tell somebody how to think, but tell someone where we should be at. That where a lot of things in the world would disappear. And that is the true, to me, that is the true, what you call Armageddon.
Right.
The war between the higher and the lower self. When the higher self triumphs over the lower self, or when spirit triumphs over matter.
Yeah, because as we know, that matter does not exist in the way that we usually conceive it. Nevertheless, it does exist as a cosmic delusion. And to dispel this delusion or illusion requires a definite method. You cannot cure a drug addict in a moment. You know what I'm saying? So material consciousness possesses man through a lack of, of consciousness, of knowledge, of self, and based on the law of delusion. So he cannot banish it except by learning and following opposite law, and that of truth. So, once we realize that, then we can begin to start, doing some things. Because there's a difference between matter and spirit. The difference is the rate of vibration. A difference of degree, not of kind. So it's the same kind, just different degree of the same kind. You know what I'm saying? So the point may be better understood that although all vibration, I think vibration from like 16 to 20,000 cycles per second are gross enough to be audible for man to hear. But vibrations between 16 and over 20,000 are inaudible. In other words, we can't hear a dog whistle.
Right.
You see? But a dog can, because its hearing is greater than ours.
Exactly.
At least appears to be, until we tap into clairaudience, which is our heightened sense of hearing. But as long as we're just using our regular sense of hearing, we can't hear it. Because we know that each man is stamped with the vibration signature of his own state of consciousness and emanates a characteristic influence on persons and things. You know what I'm saying? For example, Brother L, if you walked into a room, you know what I'm saying, there's a impression of astral or auric energy in which that you leave when you sit down, on the things in which that you touch, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm. I would examine it. What is this?
Right. Right. So man is able to create both matter and consciousness in his illusionary dream world. Therefore, it should not be difficult for him or her to realize that spirit, utilizing the power of Maya, which is this illusion, has created for man a dream world of life or consciousness, existence that is essence is as false. As all man's experiences in this dream state. And this is what is meant by, when we read in the Holy Quran, Surah 7, it speaks about how man is mixed with truth and falsehood.
Right. And that's the battle between the truth and falsehood.
Right.
That's the lower self, the higher self, and the lower self again.
Right. Or that keeps going back to the same thing.
But it's a shame that most of these Moorish science temples, they don't teach that.
Right.
Like it's being taught tonight.
Right. But that's why it says that yet these gods possess no ears to hear, no eyes to see, no heart to sympathize, no power to save. You know what I'm saying? It says, man seeks salvation from an evil that they deem a living monster of the nether world. And they have gods that are but demons in disguise. Is what we're talking about, that these familiars or entities, astral entities, compose themselves off as the ancestors. All powerful yet full of jealousy and hate and lust. You know what I'm saying? These demons, as we want to say, like I said, I don't like using it, but let's use that for right now, for y'all can understand what we're talking about.
Right.
These entities, these so-called reptilians, greys, or whatever, these beings don't like us. In fact, based on all reports of those who study ufology, the reptilians say that they was here before us and want this damn planet back. So their whole thing is about depopulating the planet. So oftentimes when you see those in high position, No, they're attached. These reptilians, this reptilian energy through their reptilian portion of their brain, which is the brain stem, through the first and second chakra, you can see their eyes change once you disrupt their energy field, once you disrupt their emotions, because they can't handle the emotions very well. So they get upset, they get angry, boom, just look in their eyes.
And that's why they don't have no really compassion for humanity.
Right.
At all.
Don't have compassion. Right. And see, this evil is a myth. They really don't exist if you want to know the truth of it. But because we have books written on it, we have, people have dreamt it. They have seen it with their own eyes. I know I have. I've seen UFOs. I've seen people, reptilian hybrids, as they refer, or reptoids, as they refer to them as, with eyes that change. I've seen that. But that shit is not the greatest. It's not of the higher self. It's of the lower self. All right? It was of the lower self. And remember, these guys are made of air. Shu is air. Yeshua. Ishua Legba.
So they should be easy to defeat.
Right. By what? By the breath. Because God breathed into the nostrils of man the breath of life, made man a living soul. So to reach your higher self, which is your Allah and man, you must learn the science of the holy breath. The Holy Quran speaks about this, period. That is the ultimate. That's the ultimate. Right? Right? Teach Allah teach them that Allah and man are one, but through thought and words and deeds, man tore himself away from Allah and debased himself. So teach that the holy breath will make them one again, restoring harmony and peace. Well, if you get the book, Scientific Healing Affirmations by Yogananda, he says the phenomenal world operates under the Maya, the law of duality and oppositional state. It is thus an unreal world that veils the truth of the divine oneness and unchangeableness. Man, in his mortal aspect, dreams of duality and contrast, life and death, health and disease, happiness and sorrow. But when he awakens in soul consciousness, all duality disappears, and he knows himself as the eternal and blissful spirit. So, through the Maya and man's consequent ignorance of his soul, human consciousness is isolated from cosmic consciousness or infinite consciousness. The mind of man is subject to change and limitation, but the cosmic consciousness, which is infinite consciousness, is free from all restrictions and is never involved in experiences of duality. In other words, cosmic consciousness, or what we call infinite consciousness, don't fuck with death and life, disease and health, fleeting sorrow and fleeting joy, and so on and so on. And the divine mind, the unchangeable perspective of blissfulness, is ever present. So as soon as man increases his understanding of the immaterial origin of flesh, his belief in the healing powers of drugs disappears. He sees that all disease has its roots in the mind. So he has to master the science of the mind, because that's where everything comes from, in that aspect of what is taught by Tahuti, as the all is mind and everything in the universe is mental, or everything is energy. So, consciousness is a finer and matter is grosser. Vibration is one transcendental spirit. Consciousness is the vibration of his subjective aspect, and matter is the vibration of his objective aspect. Spirit, as cosmic consciousness, is potentially emanating in objective vibratory matter and manifested itself subjectively as the consciousness present in all forms of creation, reaching its highest expression in the human mind with its countless ramifications of thought, feelings, will, and imagination. All right, so this is what he's saying. That's powerful. That's a powerful statement right there.
It is.
You know, so we know that on the other hand, a mental cure is superior to all methods of physical cure, because will, imagination, faith, and reason are states of consciousness that actually and directly act from within. They furnish the motive power that stimulates and direct the life energy to accomplish any definite task. This is what we have to come back to understanding of. You know, because everybody just want to focus on just the food aspect.
Right.
You know, or the water aspect. You know, the mind is a miniature sun, hence the reason why the sun disk comes up over top of the head, which is referred to as a halo or haru, because the L and the R is interchangeable letters in the Metronetra. So halo becomes the word haru or heru or Horus. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, the more we put this out in a lot of our temples, mosques, and churches, man, this all the problems and ills of the world be overnight.
Right.
You know, because they're not. I mean, they're people that even among Islam, you know, people different religions actually believe that they are actually studying their doctrine, the true doctrine of each religion, you know, and they're not. Once you break it down in the metaphysical terms and the dealing with the astral plane and dealing with the mental plane and dealing with the spiritual plane and dealing with the mental plane, you know, and even such science as the animal kingdom or the vegetable kingdom, you know, and they're being taught, you know, and other sciences, you know, which deals with the Bible and the Quran and the Bhagavad Gita and all the other so-called spiritual books, you know. And once they get the understanding of that, like I say, you know, the game is over. But the world rulers knows this, so they keep a stamp on all that. And all they pay preachers, cardinals, and rabbis, bishops, preachers. I mean, it's a worldwide thing, and it's fantastic when you really look at it and how they really manipulate the world, the minds of the people of the world.
Right, and that's because oftentimes they themselves are controlled by these attachments that we talked about. But how you gain knowledge above those attachments is real simple by mastering the science of breath and learning how to absorb more prana. Right, there's 3 places that we always speak about that you can store prana. All right, now what is prana? Prana is a Sanskrit word derived from the word pra, which means forth, and on to which means to breathe or move or live. So thus prana, you know what I'm saying, means to breathe forth or life breath or life energy, being the nearest English translation or equivalent of the Sanskrit term. All right, so as in the Hindu thought, though, there is but one life, one consciousness, and prana has been used for the supreme self, which is the higher self. So to tap into the higher self is through the holy breath, which is through prana. Okay? So hence life on each plane may be spoken of as the prana of the plane. Prana becomes the life breath in every creature. All right? We understand that. So what is prana? Prana is the vitality, is a vital force, the existence of which is not yet formally recognized by Orthodox Western scientists. Remember, we just talked about that. They're now just tapping into it, talking about quarks. These are subatomic particles. They now just getting it. Right? So, understand that, we're dealing with prana. And from Atma, this prana is born. And who's Atma? Atma is the same as Adam, or Adam Kadmon, the heavenly man, as we would say, within the Hebrew translation or the Kabbalah. Atma is recognized or described as Atma in his outgoing activity. In other words, the manifestation of Atma, or Adam, and we being the children of Adam, hence the atoms or the atomic structure, is by way of prana. So when the Hebrew speaks of the breath of life, which is, they call it the nephesh, all right, breathe into the nostrils of Adam, the nephesh. They're not speaking of just prana alone, but prana combined with the next principle, which is karma. And karma, this together is the vital spark that is the breath of life in man. In the beasts or the animals and in the insects of physical and material life. So prana links. Go ahead, God.
The material life, really don't really exist, right?
Right, but that's the manner. Or the Maya, that's the Maya that I'm talking about too. That these entities utilize in order to control us at these certain levels or lower levels that we refer to on this first and second overtone level of the astral plane. But in order to control ourselves and be able to control them, such as Solomon did through the greater keys and the lesser keys of King Solomon, is through a 5-pointed star and through a 6-pointed star. This is to really be talking about the overlaying of these particular symbols upon the body. Hence, for example, we have a Makaba, as we stated. So if you was able to generate your Makaba to a higher level, and the absorption of more prana stored within the third eye area, the back of the heart, and right under the navel, about 2 fingers underneath the navel, and store that energy, and then you are able to control these entities, these lower entities, and they can't control you. So the more prana that you can absorb and store, the more you are able to control this Maya, or this illusion, or delusion. So that's the key of what's really going on. And that's what we're talking about, is that this happens by way of first learning from the science of breath. So we know that, the yogi or the yogic powers that is known as the siddhis. It says those who acquire these siddhis are known as the siddhas. The process through which that they obtain the siddhis is called siddhanta. Pranayama is one of the most important siddhanta. It says through the practice of asana, you can control the physical body, and through pranayama, you can control the subtle astral body, or the linga, sarira, as there is a intimate connection between the breath and nerve current control of the breath that leads to the control of the vital inner currents. This is the reason why they refer to, you go to the dictionary, Webster Dictionary, Webster Merriam Dictionary, or Merriam-Webster Dictionary, whatever way you want to refer to it as. You go there and you look up the word breath. You will see the word spirit embedded inside the definition. Go and look up the word spirit. You see the word breath embedded inside the definition. They are both synonymous. So breath is spirit. Spirit is breath. All right. The word spirit comes from the Latin word spiros or spiritus, which means to breathe or blow out. All right.
When they talk about the Holy Ghost in church,
right. That's the Holy Ghost.
The holy breath.
Right. The holy breath, the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit. All that is one and the same thing. Which is actually talking about the breath activating the Holy Spirit, which is the Kundalini aspect of ourselves, which is called the Shekinah within the Hebrew or Kabbalistic text, in which that is the feminine face of God, which is Aset, as she's called within the Tamarian text, all right, or what is called the Parham Heru text, or the Book of Coming Forth by Day and Night. Within the Bible, she's called Sophia, which is wisdom, mentioned within the book of Ecclesiastics and Proverbs.
This leads you to the Naga.
Right, exactly. So they know what's really going on. It's just us breaking this down so that people can understand, what's what. So the prana may be defined as the finest vital force in everything that becomes visible on the physical plane as motion and action, and on the mental plane as thought. The word pranayama, therefore, means the restraint of vital energies. It is the control of the vital energies which tingles through the nerves of the person. It moves the muscles, cause him or her to sense the external world, think his or her internal thoughts. The energy is as such as nature that it may be called the vis viva of the animal organism. Right? The control of this force is what is the aim by the yogins by means of pranayama. He who conquers this is not only the conqueror of his own existence on the physical and mental plane, but the conqueror of the whole world. You see that? So, and they can get this from the Science of Pranayama, written by Swami Sivananda. This is what he's saying in here. So we don't have to be under the behest of these entities from the first and second overtone level of the astral plane. These ETs and shadow beings and reptilians and all these other entities or whatever, because we can conquer it through the science of breath, through pranayama. It's the prana that is the very essence of the cosmic life. And this is what they tap it into in order to mess with us as they exist on other planes of existence.
Right.
But when we build up our auric field and strengthen our auric field, then they can't mess with us. Right? So it's a known fact. Even when you do astral travel, you should go up yourself in gold light or white light before you exit your body, so that these entities can't mess with you. So the prana is the very essence of cosmic life, that subtle principle which evolved the whole universe into its present form, and which is pushing it towards its ultimate goal. So to the yogi, the whole universe is his body. The matter which composes his body is the same that evolved the universe. The force which pulsates through his nerve is not different from the force which vibrates through the universe, which is centrifugal and centripetal force. That's the breath itself. Inhale, exhale, push and pull, yin and yang. So the conquest over the body does therefore means to him the conquest over the forces of nature. Hence, one becomes a nature, or a force of nature. According to the Hindu philosophy, the whole nature is composed of two principal substances. One of them is called the akasha, or ether, and the other is called prana, or energy. These two may be seen to compose matter and the force of the moderate scientists. Everything in this universe that possesses form or that has material existence is evolved out of this omnipresent and all-pervading subtle substance, akasha. Gas, liquid, and solid. The whole universe consists of our solar system and millions of huge systems like ours, and in fact, every kind of extent that may be brought under the world created. Existence, that may be brought under the world created, or the product of this one subtle and invisible akasha, and at the end, cycle returns to the starting point. It is the same way that all forces of nature that are known to man, gravitation, light, heat, electricity, magnetism, all those that can be grouped under the generic name of energy, physical creation, nerve currents, all of such that known as animal forces, which is anima, which is the animal or spirit in which that give us the ability to live, and thus and other intellectual forces also may be said to be the manifestation of cosmic prana. From prana, they spring into existence, and in prana, they finally subside. Every kind of force in this universe, physical or mental, can be resolved into the original force. There can be nothing new except these two forces in some one of their form. Conservation of matter, conservation of energy are the two fundamental laws of nature. While one teaches that the subtle total of Akasha forms the universe is constant, the other teaches that the sum total of energy that vibrates the universe is also constant quantity. At the end of each cycle, the different manifestations of energy quiet down and become potent or potential. So also the Akasha, which becomes indistinguishable, but at the beginning of the new cycle, the energy starts up again and act on the Akasha so as to evolve the various forms. Accordingly, when the Akasha changes and becomes gross and subtle, prana also changes and becomes gross and subtle. As the human body is only a macrocosm to a yogi, his body is composed of the nervous system, and the internal organs of perception represent to him the macrocosmic Akasha, the nerve currents and thought currents, and the cosmic prana. All right? So basically, he states, he who has grasped this prana has grasped the very core of cosmic life and activity. He who has conquered and controlled this very essence has not only subjected his own body and mind, but every other body and mind in this universe. Thus, pranayama and the control of prana is that means by which the yogi tries to realize in his little body the whole of cosmic life and tries to obtain perfection by getting all the powers in this universe. His various exercises and training are for this one end. God damn.
So in the movie Ghost, where a lot of the criminals were killed, that's what you meant by the shadow, the shadow bodies.
Right.
That gets them, that takes them, to a different plane, though.
Right. Right. It takes them back to the realm of form in which that they face their second death because they had to disintegrate, and then that energy in which that is left is actually would be utilized to form the various mineral, plant, animal kingdom.
I've never had no one break it down to me like that. Like you just broke it down to me tonight, Dr. Alim.
No, you're welcome, Mark. That's the
Not
whole
like
point
that.
of why we do what we do, bro.
Wow. Woo.
Hopefully cats are getting what we're talking about here. You know what I'm saying? So the key ingredient to healing, building, or destroying is the manipulation of this universal life force energy. So entities that have hostile agendas towards us, whether they are called the jinn or demons or fairies, ETs, reptilian shadow beings, or Archeon, know how to manipulate these forces. It would be wise for us to begin to learn Reiki, pranic healing, Qigong, Tai Chi, and all other energy modalities to avoid their manipulation and even possible possession. So this is the reason why we practice what we practice. There's no need for us to lend our physical body to them for no communication or for anything else. Because once you tap yourself into your higher self, then you have all answers. Because you become the master of that prana, which we're talking about. And the more prana you can store, the more prana you can have, the more powerful you become, the more of the soul controller you are. All right. If anybody have any questions, we got the last few minutes here. You can give us a call at 626-414-3535. That's 626-414-3535. Give us a call if you want to get in for this last 5 minutes or so. Brother, you got anything you want to build for those last few minutes?
Yeah, so you said that's the what you call the shadow bodies or the shadow beings?
Right. Right, and it's mentioned right there in the mentioned right there in the Holy Quran, Circle 7. People bypass it.
Okay.
It's mentioned right there. You know.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The proper way is the shadow body, not the shadow being, though.
Well, shadow people,
both.
shadow being, right. The shadows is all referring to Ephesians, when we just read about it, when we was talking about Ephesians, and we were talking about the principalities of darkness. Remember Ephesians 6 chapter 12 verse, where he said we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. You know, so that's really what we're battling against. The rulers of darkness in this world are the shadow people. And those people who become overshadowed by these astral beings or archeons, in which that tends to make them do their bidding. And one of their biddings right now is to find some type of weaponry in which that can damage us by our ethnicity, as well as also kill us off and depopulate the planet.
Okay.
You know, so these principalities are like ruling devil spirits, possessing executive authority, as we would say, or governmental ruler or rule in this world. So as you see, this ruling power usually involve a particular nation, people, or race. There are evil angels ruling the kingdom of the world that opposes, as we would say, the truth of God, you know, and of which Satan is the chief prince or ruler of both the world system and its organization of what they refer to as demons, you know what I'm saying? But really, and this is what is really meant by Matthew, the 12th chapter, 24 verse. You know what I'm saying? So, this is all biblical English transliteration of the ancient tales here, but we can still utilize what we just broke down here in tonight's discussion, the realness of it, as we just broke down, you know what I'm saying? But that's just the biblical version of it. But as you see, everything that we're saying all ties into even the biblical, the Quranic, the Holy Quran, Circle 7, also the Vedic, the Marababa, the Upanishad, many of the Zoroastrian texts, 60, many of the various books, you know what I'm saying, so-called spiritual books, teach the exact same information as this, you know, what we're talking about. All right, before we go, we got area code 410. Area code 410, you're on the line.
Hey, what's going on, brothers? Peace.
Peace.
Good show. Sound like we be gone in 60 seconds, countdown. But yeah, I just had a quick question, Dr. Alim. Why is it really can't build up the question like a 1 time frame, but why does it seem like every time somebody gives a past life regression, why is it everybody was a king, everybody was a queen, everybody was a ruler, a pharaoh, nobody was a slave, right?
Exactly. Well, that all goes back to what we're talking about, is that you have these familiar spirits, which are actually the Archeons, in which that give these impressions to these so-called seance. Remember, they're not dealing with the spirit of the person who have actually passed on. They're dealing with astral energy or residue, in which that still exists in a shell form or disincarnated spirit form on the lower astral plane before these disintegrate and return back to the realm of form. So that's really what they're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? So people who attempt to channel, or people who claiming that they know what is going on with the individual, only thing they're doing is these spirits are picking up on the memories of the individual. You know what I'm saying? Who is participating in the seance, and they reveal it to them information on which that to the other person in order to show you how good that they can read. You know what I'm saying? The individual. But this is all by control of the Archeon.
are you? And I mean, not to be a stickler or anything, but are you talking about the archons, not the archeons, but the
archons? Archons. Those archons. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm glad you touched on that earlier with the thought forms. It's a lot of movies. Yeah, I think they even touched on that in They Live about the archons, but of course they use that terminology. And yeah, man. I mean, it's a lot of I guess you could say ambivalence with the reincarnation doctrines, because like if you really look at all the different cultures, they had different views on reincarnation, even though it's like we all talking about the Atman or the soul, but it's like, how do we still have these different cultures just talking about different perspectives on it? And like for instance, one of the saddest things I heard about this year was the Aborigines in Australia. They said that their reincarnation is something about they could go from children. The children, the imagery of a parent would be in the child, but if they lucky, they will reincarnate to a white person. That's one of the saddest things I heard this year. But that sounds like a broken spirit. That like they broken down or whatever.
No, it definitely is.
Yeah.
Here you is you on a landmass before these peckerwoods even showing up. You talking about to be lucky to reincarnate to a pale face. But
yeah, that definitely is sad, bro. Well, I mean, that's how much we've been broken. Like, that's what I was just talking about, the image of the pale Jesus, man. Being a thought form in which that is indoctrinated us into that particular position of self-hatred. So now any white person that we see, being that Jesus is not just the Son of God, he is God, then any white person that we see automatically becomes God also. Therefore, we would rather strive towards that image than our own likeness. And therefore, that's what it's talking about in the book of Revelation, the 12th chapter, 13th chapter, where it speaks about the image of the beast. Because they understood that beast image would be utilized in order to capture the minds of the indigenous people or the people in general on the planet around the world.
What do you think about it? It's in the Wisdom of Solomon. I think you talk about him being a noble soul as when he was a child, being a noble soul, and then as he went to the unblemished body, something about he fell as he went to the unblemished body. It's like kind of far as they went with the reincarnational aspect, much as they could, and then they take out. I think Justin took out a lot of reincarnation aspects at 525 in the Bible.
Right, he did. But when we go back and look at even at the Bible, Jesus shows incarnation twice within the book of John. It's actually just like a chapter or so apart, where the disciples asked about John the Baptist, who was John the Baptist, and Jesus said he was the return of Elijah. And then they asked him, then Jesus asked them, he said, well, whom do they say that I am? And then they say, well, Jeremiah, one of the prophets of old, Elias, blah, blah, blah. You know, so the reincarnation is still in there. You know what I'm saying? And it's still told throughout the various inspired books. You know, the only thing in which that the Hindu that many people has misquoted the Hindus in understanding is that the role of recycling, you know what I'm saying, of energy recycling as another animal or entity, you know.
Right. You're talking about last week.
Right. So that's the thing in which that everybody don't understand, you know what I'm saying. A brother was telling me today about a story of this brother named Cobra Kai, and he was talking to this possum and told him that the possum could possibly be human in his next incarnation or next life. Well, what is missing out of that scenario is that energy dissipates. You know what I'm saying? Well, not energy per se, but the form of that energy dissipates and return to what we call the realm of form, in which that can be utilized by everyone, in the process of breathing, in which that keeps their physical composition together. Okay, so there's a recycling process. It's not reincarnation. It's a recycling process, which that can be understood as compared to as if an animal species can jump, to become a human species, blah blah blah, like that in that sense.
Right. You're talking more of transmigration.
Right.
What was it? I think they had 4 of them: transmigration, reincarnation, palingenesis, and it's something else. But yeah, they, like you saying, cycling the energy, not just your typical evolutionary, like going from ape to man type of simplicity as far as that.
Right.
But,
exactly.
But yeah, that bring up my I guess the show pretty much done. But I had a question about the like you just brought up the guy that was talking about the possum, and the kind of the confusion with the Vedic text, and then I think it's in Jainism and some of the texts in Mahayana Buddhism, it talk about eating meat, and even Osho he touched on it too, and Blavatsky, about some people can't remember their past lives due to eating that dirty ass meat.
Right.
And I just came from a family reunion. I mean, I wanted to ask you about that too, also, but that's kind of silly stuff.
Some want to veil and keep from remembering their past lives. If they incarnated back here this time around, then that means they know they must did some more fucked up shit in the last one.
They probably running around with Prozac in a baby bottle.
Exactly.
trying to keep from the memories.
Exactly. Shoot, they don't want to find that out.
That kind of remind you when people playing the TV real loud. It's like almost like a drug.
Right. But also notice, when you're speaking about drugs, but notice people who medicate themselves by drugs, medicate themselves on alcohol, medicate themselves with food, medicate themselves with sex. These are all veils in which that keeps them from remembering who they actually are, because they're so focused on something external in which that they think that will help them.
Yes, sir. Yep. Try to help them.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, it was a wonderful show once again. I came in a little late, but yeah, from what I heard.
No, appreciate that, brother.
Appreciate
all right,
it,
Brother L. Brother L,
well,
you got any closing comments before we go?
Yeah, we did it again, Dr. Alim.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, brother. So, all I can say is do it again next week.
Okay.
Same time, same
Sounds
station.
good. All right. And basically I got to say is just go back and play it again, understand the concepts and what we're talking about, because this is actually like a continuation of the last two shows that Brother L and I had. All right, so just like a little redo or, combination or continuance, as we would say. So check us out. Go back and listen to this information again. Next time, y'all need to have some questions. Just listening. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate brother calling in. You know what I'm saying? But we need calls. You know what I'm saying? We need questions in which that people might have, experiences that y'all might have gone through. Right? In order to help other people wake up in this conscious movement or awareness, I should say. This conscious community thing is then becoming redundant. Just let's say becoming more aware. All right, so that's my piece. Also, September the 18th, 19th, and 20th, we have our event going on. Please call us at 910-364-9099. That's 910-364-9099. Go to our website, www.dralimel-bey.com. Go to the calendar of events. You will see that our event, September the 18th, 19th, and 20th, 2015, the Melanin Conference is going to be hidden. If you all enjoy the information that we've been dropping on these radio shows over the last 4 years, then come, and enjoy, up close and personal as we drop this information and teaching you even more in-depth information that we can't even go into on the radio show, because sometimes you need an actual seminar expo where you can actually get hands-on. And we teach hands-on. You know what I'm saying? We will be teaching Qigong, Tai Chi, Reiki, various forms of Reiki, all types of energy modalities, metaphysics, esoteric teachings, occult, sciences, everything you can possibly think of. We trying to drop within the 3-day span. And the ones in which that you gravitate towards is what you get certified in. So you go back home with certifications in these various arts, so that you can actually open up. We tell you how to open up your own business. You go to the Secretary of State building, do unincorporated association form. You can call the IRS and get an EIN number. I mean, we go into it, show you and tell you how to do everything to open up your own practice, blah, blah, blah. So call us, 910-364-9099. Go to the website, www.dralimel-bey.com. Go to calendar of events. Check it out. Get your reservations. Come, participate, support. That's what we need, support. All right, so we can continue doing this. All right. There's not many who can drop the information like the way we drop it. And that's why we That's the way we specialize in the way that we do it, because this is something on which that is very important to us, and we want it to be very important to you, because this is about saving your own soul. A white man or pale man ain't coming out the sky to wipe your ass for you. Exactly. He ain't coming from out of the damn heavens, from out of outer space, just to come here to wipe your ass. All right. So what that means is, what that means is that you're gonna have to learn how to wipe your ass yourself. All right. So this is self-saving that we're talking about. All right. Not waiting for someone to come out the sky to do it for you. All right. So this is my summary of tonight's episode. So peace, y'all. We out. Peace. Party to the cosmos.
All around the production.
Really say this the gift and the message. My music is a weapon when I use it on the reckless. Spaceship hovering throughout the whole region. Open up the sky and take the shortcut to Venus. Getting on my liver, it's a hard pill to swallow, like comparing your religion to it if the earth is hollow. No need to cry there and let it soak in your tomorrows. Let my music soak up all your bittersweet and sorrows. See the sun shining, I lay back and kick it. Staying sucker free is my new way of living. One day we get together, then we all start billing. But the ball that I dribble got me posting like Pippin. Champagne glasses round my organite pyramid. Glazing at the stars, show the kids where we really live. These solar flares got my DNA 12 stranded. Collect the kill trails and feed it to the man spring. Wash the tall moors. Some of us we been here to reunite the others and cool the world with wind chills. I put rap to the back for a good reason. 2012, 21 was a good season. Fake people get exposed just for who they are. Keep playing traffic in the highway with moving cars. My flow bring the fear of God to these modern rappers. They crawling backwards, kicking men and chance a heart attack. Ever since the kid went galactic, my center bracket reached the top and interacted with my solar status. The microphone I grab it, I guess it's just a habit. A living legend in your presence, sorta like the Mavericks. It ain't about me, nah, but it's about the future. A golden race is on and dealing with the cockadoodles. I stock it to you like a Grammy in your mama used to. The final stage I ride away just like it's Honolulu. I prove my old school, but since I stayed there, galactic conscious awareness, I got my grades there. See with the eye of Heru, no longer bending knees. My inner chief surrender me when it's time to leave. This modern day crap, I don't even follow it. I'd rather symbolize my name up in the hieroglyphs. Declare peace without Battlestar Galactica. Footstepping backwards on my way back to Africa. To wash the tall moors. Some of us we been here to reunite the others to cool the world with wind chills. I put rap to the back for a good reason. 2012, 21 was a good season. Fake people get exposed just for who they are. Keep playing traffic in the highway with moving cars. My flow bring the fear of God to these modern rappers. They crawling backwards, kicking men and chance a heart attack and wash the tall moors. Some of us we been here to reunite the others to cool the world with wind chills. I put rap to the back for a good reason. 2012, 21 was a good season. Fake people get exposed just for who they are. Keep playing traffic in the highway with moving cars. My flow bring the fear of God to these modern rappers. They crawling backwards, kicking men and chance a heart attack.